Pauline, one of your policy documents says that Islam has no place in Australia if we're to live in a cohesive society.
You love your Islam bit, don't you?
No, not necessarily I don't. I'm reading from your policies and I'm quoting it to you.
Well, fine. What do you have a problem with that? Because a lot of countries around the world don't want Islam there as well.
So how
haven't we seen the
the
destruction? You pull back, okay?
How do we pull back?
Because everyone must be treated equally in Australia.
Pauline, just
right?
on that, how would you determine who is Muslim and how would they have to prove it?
Well, you can't deport the Muslims that are here. And look, and I've spoken to Muslims. I think I've got a couple of Muslims who are members of my party actually, and
so you'd allow them to stay, or how would that work?
Don't take me out of context, right? What I'm saying here at all is that you have our values, our culture, and a way of life. That's in Australia. You don't have a full burqa. That's been proven in other countries around the world now that have banned the burqa in government areas, in schools and educational places. You don't keep putting up mosques, and it's not me. It is our society that actually are on the streets protesting against the building of mosques. Why? Because they see the repercussions that is happening in their own communities, in their own, areas.
Would you stop Muslim schools?
So, I'd like to know what they're actually teaching in those schools and what's been said in the mosque. You can't deny the fact is in these mosques they have been known to preach hate towards us. Is that a society that we want to live in? I don't believe it is. Why don't we investigate this further to ensure that we don't become like the place many other countries around the world are? And we've seen it happen in Denmark and England and Germany and France and Tunisia, Egypt, and America, everywhere. Do you want to see terrorism on our streets here? Do you want to see our Australians murdered? And if I'm so wrong, and if Muslims feel that way, why don't I have them standing beside me and say, yes, we value the Australian way of life. No, we are against Islam. We're against all this. But they don't come out strong because they can't do it.
You talk about...
Muslims who are proud Australians.
Oh, look, I came, when I was in Victoria, a fellow came up to me, Muslim, his wife was running the shop, she said, we're Muslims. He said, you're right in what you're saying. He said, with it. He said, but I can't come out and say anything against them.
So the Australian population not be somewhat offended when you're saying that their religion is not a religion, it's a political ideology, and when you're saying, well, if you're Muslim, you shouldn't come here and we shouldn't let you in, and there should be all these different welfare checks that apply only to you. How can they not feel offended and marginalised by that?
Well, I'm not going to back down in what I believe and what a lot of Australians feel and believe as well. We've seen the problems that's happened in other countries around the world, and I do not want that to happen here because I don't want to offend anyone. I feel offended, and even, two of our former Prime Ministers, whether it be Tony Abbott or Julia Gillard, said they find the burqa confronting, as do many Australians.
Do you think you're the only one with the guts in Parliament at the moment to speak out and say this? Other people support you? Is that how you think this
I
is
do
falling?
believe that. I think George Christensen has also, come out and made some comments, and I think he is, but they're stifled by their political parties. All I'm saying is, let's have an open mind, let's have a debate about it. This is why I'm wanting this inquiry into it. And people find, offensive, and I'm not preaching the hate. I'm not preaching hate. I'm trying to open up, have an open mind and have a debate about it and have a royal inquiry into it. How many of you really get out there and question the imams who actually preach hate towards us and their hatred? You're standing here having a go at me because I stand up for my culture, my way of life and my country. Every day that I went to school, I saw the Australian flag raised, and it was instilled in me the pride who I was to be an Australian. And yet I stand here before you and want to bring that back to my country, into the floor of Parliament, and you stand there and criticise me because I don't want anyone else to destroy that.
If you have the power to implement a royal commission against Islam, you will naturally become an opponent of theirs. That's a very large proportion of the community. Are you concerned about your safety?
Yes, I am concerned about my safety, of course. But sometimes you've got to stand up for what you believe in, and you can't back down from it. And that's why so many people feel the same, because they're in fear. And that's why I think maybe why some of the other members of Parliament have not taken a stance against this as well. And I see the fear when I turn on my TV or see what's happening in the rest of the world. Do you want fear to dictate our lifestyle ahead of us or for our future generations? I don't. And that's why I think that sometimes someone has to take a stance.